Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So I'm actually going to go out here and make a prediction on the fight. I'm still going to keep a lot of videos coming, talk about different things. But from all the research I've done, listening to interviews, the insight that I have as far as what Crawford and Canelo are doing inside their camps, let me just say this. This is a fight that I feel could go either way. But the main reason that I'm going to make this prediction, and I'm going with Terence Crawford to win the fight. You may say, damn, Hood, but you talked about Canelo, talked about his power, talked about Crawford being out the ring for a year, being inactive. Talk about Canelo beating up Crawford's body, beating up his arms, which lowers the arms, exposes the head, then beating up his body, which slows down Crawford's legs, which makes Crawford a stationary target, where Canelo can now come, load up with the kill shots to Crawford's head, and get him out of there within 7 or 8 rounds. Let me just say this. I could still see that happening. But the main reason that I feel Terence Crawford is going to win this fight, I think Canelo is going to be overloading shots. I think he's going to load up on shots. And him coming into the Terence Crawford fight with that mindset, trying to load up on, maximum power. You see when Canelo throws shots, he puts everything into those shots. Hooks, uppercuts, throwing the right cross. The tactical and psychological consequences could be very severe, especially against a fighter like Crawford. And see, and this is where we got to understand. Canelo's right cross, that's going to be the money punch against Crawford. But I don't think he's going to shoot it with speed. When have you seen Canelo really looking to just throw something with speed and not put any ill intent on it? When he fought Berlanga, he threw one shot with speed. It was the hook, and he caught Berlanga slipping. Terence Crawford is not Berlanga. But you don't really see Canelo looking to maybe go with speed and then save the power for later. He's more everything is just loading up because he knows he has power. He knows what was his best punch selection. And he's loading up looking for the kill shot. But against Crawford, I just really think you got to understand Crawford's going to have the patience. Crawford is a guy who's okay with being a bit economical at times to ensure he doesn't get caught with anything foolish. But at the same time, where Crawford kind of settles into an economical punch pattern, he's setting traps and baiting his opponent, which Canelo's going to take the bait, to try to load up with shots to land on Crawford, and that's where Crawford is going to punish Canelo for his mistakes. So we could sit here and say, you know what, if Canelo is loading up with shots, no matter what, he's still going to be chipping away at Crawford. Crawford can't afford to take those hard punches from Canelo over 12 rounds. I agree. And that's why, loading up on shots and overcommitting to your punches, that's a double-edged sword. Now, it can produce highlight reel knockouts, which is what, for me doing, the last 50 videos, a lot of the Canelo contingent feel that's what we're going to get here. I've even had fun with the talking points, and even I've said Canelo could put the Guadalajara and Jalisco Bing Bings on Terence Crawford. But now I'm being, I'm kind of narrowing things down and being not as entertaining in the conversation. But I do think the overcommitting could get a highlight reel knockout. But I think when you start overcommitting like Canelo, your hook, your uppercut, your right cross, I think you become predictable. And your rhythm becomes predictable. You can become anticipated. But the worst thing for Canelo is you drain stamina. And that is why I'm looking at Crawford. You know Crawford ain't going to get tired. And now all of a sudden, where Canelo's trying to drain Crawford, he finds his stamina being drained because Canelo's trying to slow Crawford down. All of a sudden, Canelo gets tired, going to create defensive gaps, and a counter-punching master like Terence Crawford is going to exploit him. Some people are going to say, no way, Crawford doesn't stand up to it. He's going to have on his track shoes. He's going to run the whole fight. I just don't see Crawford running the whole fight. But I know he will move around that ring. Crawford's not dumb. He didn't come into boxing as a young kid and be so successful as an amateur and a pro to get into the biggest fight of his career at the tail end of his career with Canelo and decide to get in the ring and turn into a goddamn mannequin. He's not going to remain stationary. I think people forget, but they got to understand, Crawford's style is built for exactly an opponent like Canelo. That's what he's built. I mean, it's the truth. A guy who's like to load up and try to knock him out. At some point, Crawford is going to start to exploit him. He's not going to chase the knockout. Crawford's not going to be out here chasing a knockout and trying to load up back on Canelo. You hit me once, I try to land something back, and he knows that would be catastrophic. He's going to stalk Canelo. He's going to chip away at him. He's going to touch him here, touch him there. Everyone knows Canelo slows down. Now, if Canelo comes out at the second of the first round and throws 50 punches in that round, and then subsequent rounds he's throwing 50, 60 punches around, you got to stop and throw the bullshit flag. How, who, what, when, where, why, how is Canelo able to do this? Because that ain't his style. That's not what he averages. And if he's able to do that, then Crawford going to be in trouble. But I'm telling you, the bullshit flag going to get thrown. You know all the damn scrutiny on the Reynoso camp. And I think it's well-deserved. Do I think Canelo's a cheat? I don't think I'm willing to go out and say that. But I do believe there'll be a lot of scrutiny and questions on Canelo if he comes out now and he's able to double the amount of punches he normally averages, especially across the last 5 or 6 fights. You see, Terence Crawford's comfortable losing a battle or two, you know what I'm saying, in the early exchanges. Crawford knows, man, early, there could be in the war some exchanges where maybe Canelo lands something. Not necessarily it's going to knock him down, but something where Crawford's like, okay, maybe he landed the better shot in that round. But Crawford knows he may have to do that if it means he's going to win this war. This is a war, people. Crawford, he's a patient fighter, but he's not a passive guy. So he's going to want to get you back, but he's going to have patience, and he knows his opportunities are going to come. More importantly, Crawford knows how to create his own opportunities. It's what I call like, he's not just calculated. He's actively calculated. He'll spend the first few rounds I think he's going to let his hands go, but he's going to be more or less reading Canelo, reading his timing. He's going to paying attention to how his weight shifts before Canelo throws a hook. He's going to be looking to try to understand the feinting. He's going to be processing everything that Canelo's doing. And trust me, Canelo's going to be doing the same thing. But I really feel Canelo's going to have that high guard up, and he's going to be loading up shots, trying to be sneaky, looking low, go high, looking high, go low, come over the top, try to catch Crawford on the top of the head. And Crawford's going to be watching for all that. You think that both of these camps aren't sitting back, really doing their due diligence to understand what each guy brings to the ring, the threats? But I'm just saying this. When Canelo overloads, I wonder what his footwork's going to look like. Because when he overloads and loads up on those shots for Crawford, I just don't think, I think most of them are going to miss. And I think he's going to get off balance. And let me tell you something. Once Crawford has that data and he's like, okay, I see what's going on here, you better expect him to begin intercepting. All those shots being thrown, Crawford going to intercept them. He's going to take them and turn, and he's going to go and score now. This is the Super Bowl of boxing here, people. And Crawford's going to go on to win the championship. When you have an opponent who overloads and loads up on punches, man, anything that Crawford can counter, can intercept, it's just going to turn into fight-changing counters. And I think we'll see Canelo start to become a bit deflated. He did that in his other fights where you saw boxers able to counter him and touch him up. He still will keep coming forward, but you can watch in his face that he's like, I'm losing this fight. Crawford's known for sharp shots, man. And he can get in there because Canelo throws wide shots. His right cross comes pretty straight, but he can loop it too. But Canelo can shoot a straight right hand down the pipe. That's what got Austin Trout in trouble. But still, if Crawford's landing those shots, especially while Canelo's kind of off balance, and while his guards compromise, he is going to not just have success, is a chance of him really hurting Canelo. You see, the danger for Canelo is that the recent criticism has already planted seeds of doubt. He's heard people talk about how he fought Munguia, how he fought Edgar Berlanga, the school fight, the Ryder fight. I mean, that stuff gets to you. He's human just like we are. You know what I mean? Somebody posted something on a video I did yesterday, and they were saying Canelo's going to make Terence Crawford look like Emmett Till. And I woke up this morning, that shit was on my mind, because I just thought, that's crazy for somebody to say something like that. You see what I'm saying? So even me, with some of the comments, I read them, but like out of every comment I've ever read, nothing bothers me. I'll joke back and make somebody look stupid, but that comment about the Emmett Till shit, and the other comments where people saying about ICE, calling ICE and all the Mexicans, like that shit bothers me, you know, because I just don't believe in that kind of talk. And those are the things that sometimes make me say, man, fuck this YouTube shit. Like, there's some really stupid people on here, like really uneducated, ignorant people. But you got to take a deep breath and blow it out, because I'm not going to change them. But that shit about ICE and Emmett Till, I didn't like that. But again, it comes back to Canelo's human. So when you have people looking at his performances against a school and how they ridiculed him, talked about his low output, talked about his lack of urgency, you know, saying that Canelo's content. He doesn't have the hunger anymore. He just wants money. He doesn't really want to be great anymore. That shit bothers him. I know it bothers him. He's just fighting for the check. But this is the kind of public embarrassment that could push a guy like Canelo into what I would say is like trying to fix something maybe that doesn't need to be fixed, or an overcorrection. And that's why you see him in training camp right now with all of these different guys in there. He is overcorrecting. I don't think he needs to go to these extreme measures to get ready for Terence Crawford. But hey, good for Crawford, because that's going to give him an advantage. Canelo's going to try to prove that he's still the aggressive, destructive Canelo of old. A fight of this magnitude against a guy like Crawford, this isn't where you want to prove you're the fighter of old. You want to prove that you're still a great fighter. Don't come in here trying to throw all those creative combinations you used to throw back in the day that you haven't shown the last 6 or 7 fights. That shit doesn't exist anymore. Don't come out here high guard and just everything, super power shots, overloading, thinking you're going to somehow break Terence Crawford down and beat Crawford into oblivion. Like, you just don't do that. But that's what he's going to do. He's going to come in there and try to force the action and force the fight and try to force an outcome. And I just think it's going to backfire. So I'm looking at Canelo, and I just really feel he's going to come in there and throw too much intent too early. And he's going to be walking into traps that you normally wouldn't see Canelo fall into. But Crawford is going to set him up. Crawford knows Canelo is going to be trying to knock him out. And he's going to try to set up Canelo to where he can exploit him. And Canelo is going to be loading up. This is why you say, okay, damn, well, Hood Champion actually is talking sensible. I don't agree with him, but he's talking sensible now. He's not just out here clickbaiting us. He's not just out here, man, what's that shit called? Gaslighting us. Nah. But you got to pay attention, right? So many respected voices. Picking Crawford, despite the size gap. You talk about Teddy Atlas. You think he doesn't know boxing? You can say what you want about me. A Hood Champion, screw you, you tail wagger, you don't know boxing. All right, cool. Andre Ward, you don't know boxing. He doesn't know boxing. Well, he's Terence Crawford's best friend. He's a tail wagger. All right. Sean Porter doesn't know boxing. Sean Porter, he's got his ass kicked by Terence Crawford. He's a glazer. Floyd Mayweather just supports him because they're all black fighters and they're boxer runners. All right. Robert Garcia. Crickets. Robert Garcia, he always rooting for the Mexican. But even he came out and said, nah. He said, no way. Crawford, his adaptability, his IQ, his ability to make in-ring adjustments, and he's just all around a brilliant fighter. And Canelo's is just a step behind. So even he's picking Crawford. Roy Jones actually said he's going with Crawford, but he knows. He said Canelo has to fight the perfect fight to win. He said if Canelo fights the perfect fight, Canelo wins. But if not, he loses, because Crawford is a guy who can do 6 or 7 different things to win a fight. Canelo can only do 1. And I think they say that because they know Crawford is a fighter who can neutralize Canelo's strengths. And at the same time, he can exploit his recent decline in foot speed and output. But this goes back to what I was saying earlier. If Canelo comes in there, his feet are faster than usual, his output is higher than usual, you got to stop and ask the question. First couple rounds, okay, but you're in round 10, 11, 12, Canelo still throwing 50, 60 punches around, feet moving faster than Crawford's. He in there like Fred Astaire, Sammy Davis Jr., he tap dancing. He in there floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. You got to question that shit. I want to see how this fight plays out. I got Crawford winning. And not just the switch hitting, But Crawford is able to counter the opponent while the opponent is punching. He can take away your best weapon all night long. And that just, to me, ultimately adds up to be like a nightmare for a guy like Canelo, who's going to be trying to impress by loading up every shot to knock out Terence Crawford instead of just being inside the ring to simply win the fight. If Canelo comes in here to simply win the fight, then he will simply win the fight. But he's not going to do that. Even Turkey Al-Sheikh, Riyadh season. Turkey's in the house every day is Thanksgiving. That adds a whole other layer of pressure. You know Canelo already flopped the Turkey Al-Sheikh card against School. Remember Deontay Wilder went out there? Everybody was expecting him to do the business with Joseph Parker. Wilder flopped. Then Wilder came back against Zhang, expecting him to do something, even though Zhang was a bigger threat than Parker. Wilder flopped again. But the thing is, he felt that pressure from Turkey Al-Sheikh to come back and try to deliver. And I think Canelo's feeling that pressure from Turkey Al-Sheikh. He calls him brother, right? Turkey, you're my brother. You're my uncle, Turkey. Okay. He going to come out there, man, and try to give Turkey what Turkey wants. Turkey Al-Sheikh said, I want smashing face and blood from these mega events. You think Canelo's not going to try to come out there and smash Crawford's face and give Turkey Al-Sheikh blood? And it's going to backfire on him. Fighters know, and you look at the climate of boxing, if they deliver a flat performance, man, in that environment, that can sour their relationship with the most powerful backer in the sport of boxing right now. And Canelo, he's going to be tempted to make a statement, man, and it's going to be immense. It's going to be him, taking it beyond the stupid, especially against a guy like Terence Crawford, who's the current pound-for-pound number one. Canelo needs that feather in his cap. He needs that win in his hip pocket. He needs to come in there and deliver. And this is why I just think, the psychology of a guy like Canelo, not knowing how to deal with that pressure from Turkey Al-Sheikh, the shit becomes dangerous. Because one thing about Canelo, even though I think Crawford's going to win, and the reason I think he's going to win is because really Crawford's supposed to lose. But I think Canelo's, for all these things I'm talking about, this is why he's going to lose. He's always had tactical discipline, Canelo. I just feel having a smaller guy in front of him, all of the pressure from Turkey Al-Sheikh, all of the criticism from social media, that tactical discipline that Canelo once had, I think is going to lead to reckless exchanges and defensive lapses because he's going to be trying to impress. And that's going to be all bad for him. Then you think about the Mexican fan support. During fight week, that shit is going to be fuel for Canelo. But everything can explode. The Mexican fan support is going to have Canelo going out there trying to knock Crawford out early. The Mexican are going to be here, Canelo, Viva Mexico, Canelo. That shit going to be going crazy all week. That shit can affect Terence Crawford. But if Canelo's not, if he's losing, or they find that he's looking wild, he's looking reckless, they'll start booing his ass. They'll start booing Canelo. So I just think you're going to see a sea of red, white, and green during fight week. Every media event is going to be the Canelo, Canelo, Canelo. But I think that energy is going to be intoxicating. And I think Canelo's going to be drunk off of it. And I think he's going to get in the ring and Crawford's going to give him a sobriety test. And he's going to say, oh, you drunk off of this Mexican field? Let me go ahead, man, and cuff your ass up, lock you down, and get this decision victory. Because you ain't sober enough to realize what you should be doing, stupid, is maintaining a tactical discipline and doing all the things that help you achieve this level of success. But against little old me, you drunk off the Mexican fuel, the Mexican hype, and now you come in here, and I got to put these bing bings on you. Canelo got to be careful trying to give the people what they want. Like Manny Pacquiao said, go toe-to-toe. Them toe-to-toe exchange with Terence Crawford. He's a counter-puncher, and I just think you're doing that shit, you're playing with fire. The more Canelo tries to force the action for the crowd, again, the more predictable he becomes. Terence Crawford's unpredictable. He's unsolved. He has the Bud Vinci code that no one's figured out. And then Canelo's going to come out here and become predictable. Every fight, once they start, the Mexican crowd starts getting lit up, bang, 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 all that shit and the horns go off. Canelo starts wilding out. Anyway, I think Crawford's going to have a pretty easy time timing Canelo. After the first round, second round, you're going to see him starting to time him. Canelo's going to be pushing on the front foot, loading up, and Crawford's going to get the victory. Now, when we talk about attributes, Canelo brings a lot to the table. I think you go into Canelo's toolkit, that shit is loaded. All kind of tools. But I just think he's forgotten how to use some of them. That's why he doesn't take them out during fights. Before, Canelo knew how to use everything. Everything. But not now. He says, okay, I know this right here works pretty good. No matter what the job is I'm doing, I'm going to pull this out. And for Terence Crawford, he's going to have to go deep into that toolkit and pull out some other things that can help him construct a win. I just don't think he's going to be comfortable doing that because he hasn't done it in so many fights. Now, Crawford, he got way more tools in his box, and he's familiar with still how to use his tools because he never stopped using them. Fighting orthodox, fighting southpaw, fighting on the front foot, fighting on the back foot, moving laterally, punching off the move, countering off the move. Very comfortable inside the ring, very comfortable on offense and defense, controlling the range with his jab, countering off of both hands, adjusting his game plan mid-fight. I mean, goddamn, what else do I have to say? Oh, what about Canelo? I mean, Canelo, he's got power. Body punching. Pretty good head movement. Upper body defense is on point. There you go. But what Canelo has is fewer. And I just think I think Crawford is more specialized. But the fewer things Canelo does, he does very, very, very good. But the one thing I'll say that's a concern is Crawford's ability to take away Canelo's body attack. Like, I ain't gonna lie. If Crawford can take away the body attack by controlling distance, angling out after exchanges, Canelo gonna be in a bad spot. He's gonna be trying to run rounds with a single shot or these sporadic bursts the last 15 seconds. And that's a position Canelo does not want to be in. At the end of the day, stamina management is critical for both fighters, but especially Canelo. But loading up on those shots is what's going to cause him to lose and cause him to fatigue. And if he gets tired, Crawford is going to pick up the pace, double time march, and have Canelo in the ring shitting bricks because he's not going to be able to catch up to Crawford. The win will be unrecoverable for Canelo. It'll be smooth sailing for Terence Crawford. I really wonder, Eddie Reynoso, how hard Canelo's pushing in camp. Because they say fights are won in training camp, but fights are also lost. Could Canelo be pushing so hard with over answering, over responding, and over committing and over training to where he leaves everything in training camp and gets in the ring and he's shot, he has dead leg and everything else. I wonder. Because he's going to have to try to pace himself against Crawford. I can't see him being stupid to just come out and try to get him out of there in the first couple rounds like he did Bivol, and then the rest of the fight be tired and admit he was tired. He can't admit he was tired after losing to a guy like Crawford. Fans ain't going to want to hear that shit. Getting away those early rounds, I just think is dangerous. You know, Crawford is a guy, he knows how to score. He knows how to bank points. He knows how to make you work harder than you realize you were going to have to. And Canelo's starting slow, trying to conserve energy. He's going to fall into the holes big time on the scorecards. Because every time Crawford goes back, it's going to be like another round in the bucket. You could see where all of a sudden at the sixth round, Crawford's up unofficially 5-1, 6-0, 3-2 at the worst, but more like 4-2, 5-1, 6-0. Anyway, Canelo falls behind them scorecards, he's going to be all bad. If he starts trying to impress because he's worried about Turki Al-Sheikh and what the fans have said and trying to, give the Mexican fans what they want, he's going to risk burning out and becoming a stationary target, and Crawford's going to have a surge at some point, mid-fight or late fight, and Crawford's going to win the rounds that matter most and the ones that have left a recent impression on the judges' minds. Crawford's going to mess around and win the fight. So the bottom line, overloading on shots against a guy like Crawford is a high-risk gamble. Can it work? Yeah, it can work, but it's a risk. But I guess you miss 100% of shots you don't take, right? So Canelo's got to take a shot. But the problem is it'll just understand that combination of Crawford's patience, his counterpunching, his adaptability, understanding Canelo's recent criticism and desire to impress, the pressure of Riyadh season for Canelo to deliver something big, Mexican fans pulling on Canelo emotionally. That shit just creates a volatile mix. But if you look at it, Crawford is in a healthier space. Crawford is in a real healthy space. He has everything to gain, nothing to lose, really. He's not supposed to win the fight. Canelo has everything on the line. That's why he said he didn't want to fight him. Canelo didn't want to fight him. People keep saying, well, Crawford just took the fight for the money. He wants the Wu-Tang cream. Sure. But Canelo, too. Canelo's supposed to fight Jake Paul. I'm going to tell you this right now. I should save this for another video, but I'm going to give it to you. Canelo wanted to fight Jake Paul. Canelo preferred to fight Jake Paul. He could come out and say, Jake, you're not a real fighter. I fight real fights with Turkey. Bullshit. You had already signed the contract. You had already signed. Y'all, what are you talking about? Canelo wants easy fights, people. And Turki Al-Sheikh took care of Crawford, ponied up the money to get Canelo in the ring. Canelo doesn't want hard fights. Nobody's talking about it anymore. It's because of ship sale, but he had already committed to fighting Jake Paul. Canelo can say what he wants. I believe Jake Paul when Jake Paul talks, by the way. When Jake Paul starts talking and he starts cussing and getting agitated, it's because Jake Paul has plans. And when he locks in a fight like that with Canelo, he's happy. He can't wait. He's telling the world. And when Canelo pulls out, that's why Jake gets pissed off. Him and AJ, that shit is real. That fight was going to happen. That there was an issue with the networks. So coming back full circle, Canelo didn't want to fight Crawford because he wants super easy fights. He knows Terence Crawford fight is a much more difficult fight than fighting Jake Paul. He knows that. Canelo willing to go up to 200 pounds to fight Jake Paul. How about that? For those of y'all who didn't know, he's going to go up to 200 pounds. He's going to fight as a cruiserweight, Jake Paul. He'll probably make good money, $100 million. But he making 150 with Turkey. $50 million and make a goddamn dog hunt, won't it? Bow, wow, wow, yippee, yo, yippee, yay. Anyway, Canelo can't find a balance between aggression, his tactical discipline that he's always had, and just overall discipline. He's going to walk himself into some hard counters from Terence Crawford. And let me tell you something. It's not even just about losing a few rounds, losing the crowd support. He's going to lose the fight. So you say, okay, Hood champion, is that your final decision? Yeah, I got Terence Crawford winning. I think Terence Crawford is going to beat him. Could I see Canelo winning? I could go back and forth all day about all this. Canelo could win. But what I see happening more than anything else that I've talked about, even the videos where I'm having fun, stirring the pot, getting you guys emotionally rattled, I see Canelo going for the gusto, the hook, the uppercut, the right cross. No matter if he's throwing a straight hook over the top, he's going to be loading up on shots. It's going to drain him. Now, if he's able to do that from the first round until like the 8th or 9th round, and his punch output, based on what he's averaged over the last 4 or 5 fights, is doubled, I'm going to throw the bullshit flag. How? Who, what, when, where, why, how? All of a sudden he does it for little old Crawford? I mean, the goddamn cocktail is an EFFECT. And that shit ain't cool. Same thing if Crawford comes out here doing something, which I think Crawford wins, but if he's doing something that he hit Canelo, bing, and knocks him out cold, you got to throw the bullshit flag. How? But if the level playing field and they both operate how they normally operate, just with Canelo trying to load up, Crawford doing his countering, being smart, Crawford's going to win. He just got to be very, very careful. I say the first 5 or 6 rounds. Because after that, Canelo he's tired, sweating, lunging in, free swinging, loading up. That ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. So Crawford just can't get comfortable. He gets comfortable, Canelo's gonna Amir Khan him. But I just don't think it's gonna happen. I think Crawford said something that I thought was very interesting. He said, when people were ridiculing Shakur Stevenson, boxing's about hitting and not getting hit. Y'all say Shakur's running. It's called ring generalship. He's moving. That's what you're supposed to do in boxing, resetting. You're buffering. You're setting traps, positioning your feet. You're not supposed to just stand there and go Ruslan Providnikov, Tim Bradley, round 1. That's not what boxing is. And I happen to agree with Terence Crawford. Anyway, overload and lose. I got Terence Crawford winning this fight. And that's why. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. In the breeze.